God is about to make you the first millionaire in your family. Kahlil Gibran. There's a silence in your bloodline that has lasted for generations. It is not the silence of peace, but the silence of something unspoken, something that was meant to be said long ago, but was swallowed by fear, by survival, by the weight of simply getting through another day. You carry this silence now without knowing its name, and it moves through your choices like water, finding the lowest ground. You have felt it in the moments when opportunity knocked and something inside you hesitated, not from wisdom, but from an old inherited instruction that whispered, you were not the one meant to answer such doors. You have felt it when abundance came close enough to touch, and your hand trembled, not from excitement, but from a strange guilt that told you such things were meant for other families, other lineages, other stories than your own. Let me speak to you now of something your ancestors knew but could not say aloud. Let me speak of the wealth that was always meant to flow through your hands, the prosperity that has been circling your life like a river seeking its true course. This is not a teaching of greed or accumulation. This is a remembering of something far older, something that was written into your soul before you took your first breath in this world. You were not born into lack by accident. You were born into a family that had forgotten something essential about its own divine inheritance, and you came to remember on their behalf. The poverty of your lineage was never a punishment. It was a long forgetting. Your grandparents walked through their days with invisible chains around their sense of possibility. They were not weak, for it takes tremendous strength to survive what they survived. They were not foolish, for they made miracles from almost nothing. But somewhere along the way, someone in your bloodline learned to associate safety with smallness, learned to believe that wanting more was dangerous, learned to teach their children that dreams were luxuries reserved for those born into different circumstances. This teaching passed down like a secret language, spoken not in words but in sighs, in worried glances at bills, in the way celebrations were always shadowed by the fear of what came next. You learned this language before you learned to speak. You absorbed it through your mother's tension and your father's resignation. You inherited not just their eye color and their way of laughing, but their relationship with money, their beliefs about what was possible, their unconscious agreement with limitation. And here you are now carrying all of this, wondering why success feels both desperately needed and strangely forbidden. The universe has been patient with you. It has watched you struggle against invisible walls, never understanding why your efforts seem to dissolve before reaching fruition. It has seen you work twice as hard for half the reward, and it has held its peace, knowing that the time was not yet right for you to understand. But that time is approaching now, moving toward you like dawn moves toward a sleeping world. Something is shifting in the unseen architecture of your life. Something is being prepared that has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with a correction that has been centuries in the making. You are not about to become wealthy by accident. You are about to remember who you were always meant to be. There is a door in your consciousness that has been locked for so long, you forgot it existed. Behind this door lies your true relationship with abundance, the one you were born with before the world taught you otherwise. As an infant, you reached for everything with open hands, assuming the universe would provide, assuming that wanting and receiving were natural partners in the dance of being alive. You did not question whether you deserved the milk, the warmth, the loving arms that held you. You simply knew that life was designed to sustain you, and you opened yourself to receive without shame, without bargaining, without the complex negotiations that would later define your relationship with every good thing that tried to reach you. What happened to that child? What happened to that natural receptivity, that innocent assumption of worthiness? The world happened. Your family's fears happened. The stories of lack happened. Slowly, gradually, like frost forming on a window, your openness became covered with conditions, with doubts, with the accumulated evidence of a family that had struggled for generations. You learned to want quietly, to hope privately, to keep your dreams small enough that their failure would not break you. You learned the peculiar mathematics of scarcity, where having means someone else goes without, where asking for more is the same as taking from another's plate. You learn to feel guilty for your desires, to apologize for your ambition, to dress your hunger for more in the acceptable clothing of practicality and caution. But the child is still there. Beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the inherited fear, the one who knew how to receive is still waiting. God does not work with the small self you have been taught to be. God works with the vast self you have always been beneath the disguise. And this vast self has never known lack, has never questioned its worth, has never believed for a moment in the stories of scarcity that your family accepted as truth. This vast self has been watching your struggles with the patience of the eternal, knowing that one day you would tire of the limitations, one day you would begin to question the beliefs you inherited, one day you would become still enough to hear the whisper that has been speaking since the day you were born. The whisper says, "You are not meant to continue the pattern. You are meant to end it. Consider what it means to be the first millionaire in your family." It does not mean simply having more money than those who came before you. It means becoming someone your ancestors could not imagine, breaking through a ceiling they did not even know existed, proving wrong 1,000 unspoken assumptions about what was possible for people like you. It means looking at the long line of beautiful, struggling souls who share your blood and saying with your life, "The limitation stops here. The forgetting ends with me." It means carrying the dreams of grandparents who died with their potential still locked inside them, carrying the hopes of parents who sacrificed so you could have chances they never had, carrying the future of children and grandchildren who will inherit not poverty of spirit, but abundance of possibility. This is not about money. This is about breaking a spell. Your ancestors were not cursed, but they were under a kind of enchantment. The enchantment of believing that the world's wealth was measured out before they were born, and their portion was already determined. They lived inside this enchantment as fish live in water, never questioning it because they could not see it. The enchantment told them that struggle was noble, that wanting more was greedy, that their place in the world was fixed and fighting against it was foolish. And because they believed this, their actions aligned with their beliefs, and their lives proved their beliefs true, and they taught their children the same enchantment generation after generation, an inheritance more binding than any will or trust. You have felt this enchantment pulling at you your entire life. You have felt it in the sabotage that seems to come from nowhere, the opportunities that slip away at the last moment, the success that approaches only to retreat, the strange guilt that accompanies any taste of abundance. This is not your weakness. This is the enchantment recognizing that you are close to breaking it and doubling its efforts to keep you contained. But enchantments cannot survive consciousness. They can only exist in the darkness of unexamined belief. The moment you see the pattern begins to dissolve. The moment you recognize that your relationship with money was given to you rather than chosen by you, you begin to reclaim your power to choose differently. The moment you understand that your grandparents' struggles, however real, do not have to be your struggles, something shifts in the deepest architecture of your life. You are not betraying them by succeeding. You are honoring them by completing what they could not complete, by carrying their dreams across the finish line they could never reach. Wealth is not about deserving, it is about aligning. The universe does not ask whether you are good enough before it sends rain. It does not evaluate your worthiness before it makes the sun rise. Abundance flows according to laws that have nothing to do with moral accounting, laws that care only for openness, for alignment, for the removal of obstacles that block the natural current of prosperity. You have been standing in the river of wealth your entire life, but you have been facing upstream, fighting the current, believing that you must struggle and strain to get what was always trying to reach you. What exhaustion you have known, what unnecessary exhaustion, what fighting against the very forces that were trying to bless you. The shift that is coming is not about trying harder. It is about turning around. Think of how a seed grows. It does not struggle to become a tree. It does not work overtime, does not sacrifice its weekends, does not worry about whether it deserves to grow tall. It simply opens itself to the forces that are designed to transform it, receives the sun, and reign without guilt, allows its shell to break so that what is inside can reach toward its natural expression. The seed does not earn its growth. It allows its growth. And the universe is asking you now to be like this seed, to stop struggling against the prosperity that is trying to reach you, to let the old shell of inherited limitation crack so that what has always been inside you can finally emerge. You are closer than you have ever been. Do you feel it? There is something different about this moment in your life, something you may not be able to name, but can sense in your bones. The old ways of thinking are becoming harder to maintain. The beliefs that once felt like truth are starting to feel like prisons. You find yourself questioning things you never questioned before, noticing patterns you never noticed, feeling a strange impatience with your own limitations. This is not restlessness. This is preparation. Your soul is getting ready for what is coming, clearing space, loosening old structures, making room for an expansion that your conscious mind cannot yet imagine. God prepares the soil before planting the seed. What is being prepared in you now is not just financial prosperity, but the capacity to hold it, to use it, to let it flow through you rather than corrupting you. Because money is not neutral. It is a magnifier. It makes the generous more generous and the fearful more fearful. It gives freedom to the wise and chaos to the unconscious. This is why so many who come into sudden wealth find it becomes a curse rather than a blessing. They receive the money, but not the transformation, the abundance, but not the consciousness to contain it. What is happening in you now, this inner questioning, this spiritual preparation, this gradual awakening to your true inheritance, this is the transformation that must come first. When the vessel is ready, the water will flow. Your family taught you many things about money, most of them without words. They taught you through the arguments about bills, through the tension at the end of the month, through the dreams that were abandoned because they were too expensive, through the belief that rich people must be doing something wrong. They taught you that money was scarce, that there was never enough, that you had to hold tightly to what little you had or lose it forever. These teachings went deep into your nervous system, into your body itself, so that even now, when you think about large sums of money, something in you contracts, something prepares for loss, something expects the worst. But your body can learn new truths just as it learned the old ones. Every time you choose a thought of abundance over a thought of lack, you are rewiring the ancestral patterns in your very cells. Every time you release the grip of fear and open your hands to receive, you are teaching your nervous system a new way of being. Every time you align with your worthiness, rather than your family's unworthiness, you are breaking the enchantment that has held your lineage captive for generations. This is not positive thinking or wishful fantasy. This is the actual mechanics of transformation, the way that consciousness shapes matter, the way that new beliefs become new neural pathways, become new actions, become new results. You are not changing your circumstances. You are changing the one who creates your circumstances. The millionaire who is emerging in you is not someone who has learned tricks and techniques for accumulating money. It is someone who has transformed their fundamental relationship with abundance, someone who has healed the inherited wounds around receiving, someone who has remembered that prosperity is their birthright rather than something that must be earned through suffering. This millionaire does not chase money, but attracts it through the natural magnetism of aligned consciousness. This millionaire does not hoard, but circulates, knowing that wealth is a river that must flow to remain alive. This millionaire does not feel guilty about abundance, but recognizes it as a tool for blessing others, a means of completing the broken dreams of ancestors, a way of proving that the old limitations were never true. And this millionaire is you. It has always been you, waiting beneath the disguise. There is a reason you found these words today. There is a reason they resonate in a place deeper than your mind can reach. The universe does not speak through coincidence. It speaks through resonance, through the way certain truths vibrate in your soul like bells, recognizing their own sound. If these words are reaching you, it is because you are ready for what they contain, because the soil of your consciousness has been prepared, because the moment of your transformation is approaching, and you need to be reminded of what you already know. You already know that you are meant for more than financial struggle. You already know that the poverty patterns of your family do not have to be your destiny. You already know that something vast is trying to move through you into the world. You have known this since childhood, in those moments when you dared to dream beyond your circumstances, when you felt the pull of a future that seemed impossible but could not be denied. The world taught you to distrust this knowing, to call it fantasy, to keep it hidden like something shameful. But it has never left you. It has waited in the depths of your being like a seed waits in winter soil, knowing that the season of its sprouting would eventually arrive. That season is now. What is being asked of you is not effort, but surrender, not more doing, but a different being, not forcing doors open, but becoming someone for whom doors open naturally. This is the paradox that your family never understood, that struggle creates more struggle, that fighting for abundance pushes it away, that the universe responds not to desperation, but to alignment. You have tried the old ways, the ways of your ancestors, the working harder and worrying more and hoping against hope. These ways have brought you to exhaustion, but not to prosperity. Now another way is being offered, a way that feels strange because it is unfamiliar, a way that asks you to trust what you cannot yet see. God is moving in your finances, but God moves through consciousness first. The wealth that is approaching you is not a reward for your struggles, but a natural consequence of your awakening. It is what happens when someone finally breaks free of the gravitational pull of inherited limitation and steps into the truth of who they really are. It is not about being chosen over others, but about choosing to remember what others still forget. You are not special because abundance is coming to you. Abundance is coming because you are finally stepping into the specialness that was always yours. The divine inheritance that belongs to every soul, but is claimed by few. This claiming is an act of courage. Let no one tell you otherwise. It takes courage to succeed where your parents did not succeed, to have what your grandparents could not have, to prove wrong the silent assumptions of your entire lineage. There is a part of you that has always held back, not wanting to make those you love feel small by your success, not wanting to create distance by rising to heights they never reached. This holding back is a kind of love, but it is misguided love, love that keeps everyone small rather than inspiring everyone to grow. Your success will not diminish your family. It will illuminate a path they could not see before. It will prove that the limitations were never real, that anyone can break free, that the enchantment can be ended by whoever dares to wake up. You are waking up now. Can you feel it happening? The grogginess of generations is lifting from your consciousness, like morning mist lifting from a lake. The dreams that seemed foolish are beginning to feel possible. The hopes you learned to keep buried are rising toward the surface of your awareness. Something ancient in you is stirring, something that remembers a time before the forgetting, before the poverty consciousness settled into your bloodline, like a winter that never ended. This ancient something is your true inheritance, more valuable than any financial legacy. The knowing that you are a child of abundance, born into a universe designed for your flourishing. Your ancestors watch from beyond the veil, and they are not jealous of what is coming to you. They are cheering. They are celebrating. They are weeping with joy that one of their own is finally breaking free. Everything they suffered, every night they lay awake worrying about money, every dream they sacrificed on the altar of survival, all of it gains meaning through what you are about to become. You are not betraying them by succeeding. You are completing them. You are carrying their unlived possibilities across the threshold they could not cross. You are healing the family wound that has bled for generations. This is sacred work you are doing by becoming wealthy. Never forget that. The money itself is not sacred, but what it represents is sacred. It represents freedom where there was bondage. It represents possibility where there was limitation. It represents the breaking of a spell that has held good people captive for far too long. When you become the first millionaire in your family, you are not just changing your bank account. You are changing the story. You are creating a new chapter that your children and grandchildren will read and draw strength from. You are becoming evidence that transformation is possible, that destiny can be rewritten, that no family is doomed to repeat its patterns forever. Let this vision settle into you like rain settling into thirsty soil. See yourself moving through the world with financial freedom, not grasping or hoarding, but open and flowing. See yourself writing checks that change lives, supporting causes that matter, blessing others with the abundance that blesses you. See yourself giving your parents experiences they never thought possible, creating opportunities for siblings still struggling, establishing a foundation that will serve generations yet to come. See yourself not as someone who escaped poverty, but as someone who transformed it, who took the lead that generations handed you and alchemized it into gold. This is not fantasy, this is prophecy. The vision that feels impossible is the very vision your soul came here to manifest. The dream that seems too big is exactly right for the bigness of who you really are. You have been dreaming small because you inherited small dreaming. But the universe has never agreed with your smallness. It has been waiting with infinite patience for you to remember your actual size, your actual capacity, your actual purpose in being born into a family that had forgotten its inheritance. And now the time of forgetting is ending. What happens next depends on what you do with this awareness. You can listen to these words and then return to your old patterns. Allow the enchantment to settle back over you. Continue the struggles of your ancestors as if their struggles were sacred, duties to be preserved. Or you can let this awareness change you, let it penetrate so deeply that you cannot return to who you were. Let it begin the transformation that will not complete until you have become what you were always meant to become. The choice is yours, but understand that the choice itself is momentous. In this moment, you are standing at a crossroads that your ancestors could never reach, with a clarity they could never possess, with an opportunity they could only dream of. Choose wisely, choose boldly, choose in honor of all who came before. God is not about to make you a millionaire the way a magician pulls a rabbit from a hat. God is about to complete a process that has been unfolding for generations. A gradual awakening that reaches its culmination in you. You are the one your bloodline has been waiting for. You are the break in the pattern, the end of the forgetting, the first to fully remember what everyone secretly hoped might someday be remembered. This is your moment, this is your purpose, this is why you were born into this particular family with these particular struggles in this particular time. Everything has led to now. Everything has prepared you for this. The wealth that approaches does not come from outside you. It emerges from within you as you align with what you have always been. It is not added to you, but revealed through you, the natural expression of a consciousness that has finally stopped blocking its own abundance. You do not need to learn how to attract money. You need to unlearn how to repel it. You do not need new techniques. You need to release old resistances. You do not need more effort. You need more allowing. This is the secret that no one told your grandparents. Abundance is the default state of the universe. Lack is the anomaly, the disruption, the forgetting. To return to wealth consciousness is not to achieve something new, but to remember something ancient. You are not becoming something other than what you are. You are becoming what you have always been, beneath the layers of inherited fear and limitation. Let the layers fall away now. Let them fall like leaves falling in autumn naturally, without struggle, each one revealing more of the light beneath. You are closer than you know. The signs are already appearing in your life. Synchronicities you might have dismissed, opportunities that seem to come from nowhere, people entering your path with exactly what you need. Pay attention to these signs. They are confirmation that what is being spoken here is not mere words, but recognition of a process already underway. The universe is collaborating with your awakening, moving pieces into position, preparing the external circumstances to match your internal transformation. Trust this process even when you cannot see its completion. The caterpillar in its cocoon cannot see the butterfly it is becoming. It only knows that the old form is dissolving, that something radical is happening, that nothing will ever be the same. You are in your cocoon now. feeling the dissolution of your old relationship with money, sensing the emergence of something new but not yet able to name it. This discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that transformation is happening. Stay with it. Breathe through it. Trust that what is being created in the darkness will be glorious when it finally emerges into the light. You are becoming someone your ancestors would not recognize, but would deeply honor. The first millionaire in a family does not simply have more money. They have transformed the consciousness of their lineage. They have proven that the impossible is possible. They have broken the enchantment that held generations captive. This is what you are being prepared for, not mere financial success, but ancestral healing of the deepest kind. Accept this calling. It is already yours. The wealth is already on its way. The only question is whether you will be ready when it arrives, whether you will have prepared the vessel of your consciousness to hold what is coming. Start now. Start today. Start with the small act of releasing one inherited belief about money, one ancestral fear about abundance, one family pattern that no longer serves you. Each release makes room for more. Each letting go creates space for receiving. God works through your willingness. Your willingness is enough. You do not need to know how the transformation will complete itself. You only need to say yes to its beginning. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the first step. You do not need to become perfect before abundance can reach you. You only need to become willing, open, ready to receive what has always been trying to find you. And now, in this moment, you are willing. You are open. You are ready. Something has shifted in you that cannot be unshifted. Something has awakened that will not return to sleep. You have heard words today that you will never fully forget. Words that will echo in your consciousness like bells, echo in a valley, returning to you in moments of doubt, reminding you in moments of fear, calling you back to the truth whenever you wander from it. The truth is simple. You are not meant to continue the financial struggles of your lineage. You are meant to end them completely, forever. This is your sacred assignment, accepted by your soul before you were born, forgotten during your childhood, remembered now in the fullness of time. You did not come to this family to repeat its patterns. You came to complete its healing. You did not inherit poverty consciousness to remain poor. You inherited it to understand it deeply enough to transform it. And the transformation is already happening right now in you. When you close your eyes tonight, something will be different. When you wake tomorrow, something will have shifted. When you look at your financial situation from now on, you will no longer see it through the eyes of your ancestors' fear, but through the eyes of your own emerging freedom. This is how change happens. Not all at once, but moment by moment, choice by choice, release by release, until one day you look back and cannot believe you ever lived any other way. The millionaire is emerging. Let them come. Let them come with their abundance and their freedom, with their generosity and their wisdom, with their capacity to bless and their willingness to receive. Let them come not as someone foreign to you, but as the you that was always waiting beneath the disguise, the you that your family's fears could never quite extinguish, the you that is now ready to step forward and claim what has always been yours. If these words have touched something ancient in your soul, write in the comments, I am awakening now. For you are, right now, at last, finally, the soul remembers what the world taught